I'm ready to kick some ass today. You know, yesterday I was live for way too fucking long, and I was, you know, it was a rough day. That's all I can say. It was a rough day. But I needed to set the stage for what today's video is going to be. And if you missed yesterday's video, you absolutely need to see it, because it's funny because we didn't even really talk about Naomi Elkins yesterday. Like I say, we just set the stage. You can't talk about this Naomi Elkins situation fully unless you know the other stuff, the stuff that was talked about yesterday. And yesterday, I believe I did about as thorough of a job as possible setting things up. Like I covered all the bases, all of the Semitism bases, all of the bottom of darkness. Like, we read the whole bottom of darkness article yesterday, and I actually read most of it, which normally I kind of skip over, like a lot of the character intros, or the doctors, the doctor of this, that. But yesterday we read it all. And, the thing about Naomi Elkins is, like, it's the epitome of everything I'm talking about. Every day, every video, trying to show the Semitism that is, holds us all back, keeps us all down, is the problem. And for those that don't know, Semitism means policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. Like, I know in your dumb head you hear the word Jew and you think that it's a bad thing, which is interesting because they're the only ones that really have that convenience, that they can say anytime they want to. They go, oh, well, I don't like what you're saying because you used the word and that's a slur, blah, blah, kind of dumb shit, And Semitism is cancer. Semitism is disgusting. Nobody else has Semitism. There's not a version of Semitism for anyone else, for Christians, for Muslims. Policy or predisposition favorable to Christians, policy or predisposition favorable to Muslims. It's not like that. And this is key. I mean, again, all of this shit is key. All this shit is part of that smoking gun. What you really need to see is, like, we're gonna go into it, and I hope there was, I hope you guys, knowing that this is what today was gonna be about, and obsessed with me and trying to debunk me or whatever. I hope you guys spent the night trying to figure it out, trying to debunk, any potential argument I may have, or just learning about it, because everybody, I'm going to show you a bunch of shit today, but like, there's a lot to it. I mean, it's fucking shocking. And so Naomi Elkins is you hear that guy's exhaust? Jesus Christ. Naomi Elkins is a woman out of Lakewood, New Jersey. And if you haven't seen Lakewood, New Jersey, if you don't know about Lakewood, New Jersey yet, I highly suggest you watch Tyler Oliveira's video about Lakewood, New Jersey. Because Lakewood, New Jersey is it's a settlement. You know, the settlements that are in Palestine, that have been in Palestine, that you know, have been grown into what is now considered Israel. That's happening everywhere. That's happening here in the United States. That's happening in Europe, in the UK. That's literally happening everywhere you can think of. Right? These settlements are being introduced, and they are morphing into the terrifying situation that is in Palestine right now. And you know, we talked about it yesterday. We covered a lot of this shit. And granted, I'm just buying time till I get home. We can actually really get into it. But I just, people don't understand that if not for literally the conspiracy guy, like if I ask you guys, who is the number one conspiracy name, family? You know, if I'm going to bring up a conspiracy theory and attach a name to it, attach a family name to it, what is the number one conspiracy family name? Who the fuck is Naomi Elkins? Gee, it's too bad you don't have some sort of device in your hands that allows you to, you know, research things and look things up instead of just crying about it. Seems pretty simple, right? You could find this out for yourself pretty simply. And I'm going to go all into it when I get home. I just don't want to get going just yet. It's just dumbass. What a dumbass. Apparently we have a real submarine enthusiast on here. He is a submarine enthusiast and he is mad. He is mad. He's not mad that children get raped and killed and genocide and all that shit. He's not mad about any of that. He's mad because you don't believe in submarines like I do. Meh. This just means this guy's been on 9 years. He's been on YouTube. He has 1 subscriber. And he's basically acknowledging that he's been sucking my dick for a long time now. You a clown. You couldn't even be bothered to put the right your. You probably don't know what the right your is. So you just went, you know, safe and said, you a clown. You a clown. Wow, you uneducated. You an idiot. I'll even use it properly. Instead of saying a idiot like no you would. You an idiot. You an embarrassment. You is exactly what I'm talking about. It's that level of stupidity that, you know, believes in Jesus and thinks that raping children is okay, and you know, it's stupid. It's fucking Trump supporting, you know, like Israeli fucking, you know, you're just typical Israeli dumbass. Clown of you. You might as well just start throwing things around since you can't figure things out. You're an asshole. I hope so. I hope pedophiles and genocidal fucking weirdos like you think I'm an asshole. I hope I'm the biggest thorn in the side that you and your cult have ever encountered. It's funny though. You sure are upset. You sure obsessed with me. You sure like watching me. You want to bet? How much you want to bet? Look at you hoping, praying. I hope something happens that prevents this guy from continuing to expose us. I hope something happens. I hope you're right. Do you hope I reckon another Goyim, another just innocent Goyim? I would imagine. I hope you wreck. Or I bet you wreck. Sorry, I bet he wrecks. So again, what are you betting? Because we know you don't have any fucking money. How about this? How about if I don't wreck, then you make a Guy Williams Sucks video and show everybody exactly who you are while explaining exactly what has you so upset. Oh, he's so upset. This guy keeps trying to expose a pedophile. This guy's trying to, he says that pedophiles should be killed. Why would he ever say that? That's just awful. You haven't been in here in a long time, so I should stop what I'm doing and fill you in. Yeah, that makes sense. You're a fucking clown. Your idea of not having been here in a long time is like 2-3 days. That's how obsessed you guys are with me. This guy is on Trump. What? Now you can't even get your shit right? What are you even saying? The submarines! The submarines! I like submarines! Yay! RIPs are in Tel Aviv, 2 in Brooklyn. Yeah, no shit. No shit. Oh yeah, good point. I don't know what the hell happened. Sometimes it just doesn't work if you don't, it stops itself. Yeah, no. So you checked out the IPs, and 2 are in Tel Aviv, and 2 are in Brooklyn. Gee, I wonder who that is. Gee, I wonder who these people are.
Claiming my intentions, polls.
Why do you think your wife left you?
Same song, dancing.
Shit, in between me dropping off the kid at school and getting home, my wife's gone? Shit. Man, I think, you know, how can I possibly know? I didn't even know she was leaving. But again, I guess when you're super, super desperate because you can't actually debunk anything I'm saying, you start saying stupid shit.
Save me. My misbehaving is shaving my zest.
Ignore the trolls. No, I love engaging. I love pointing out. Like, again, you have to ask yourself, this feed is all about we should kill pedos and overthrow the Friar control scheme. So who else is going to troll me other than friars and pedos? Right? Like, it's amazing how stupid you are. Miss Jane, what's happening? I really don't like calling you Miss Jane, because that's one of those slave things that were done to black people. You see it all the time. You saw Lil Wayne do it when he was talking to Katie Couric, and he kept calling her Miss Katie. Miss Katie. I'm just a dumbass slave, Katie. Fucking ridiculous. I see your shit. Yeah, I see just about everything. And when you get ignored, it's because you've earned it. So, give yourself a round of applause. I'm not on the freeway anymore. But again, the fact that, like, this is friars, man. Friars are like that. Friars are the type that, like, you know, anything that would prevent them from actually having to intelligently engage or debate. Right? Like, it's amazing how obvious you guys are. And you guys look at every single thing said. Really pay attention to it, because everything said usually outs the person saying it. It usually shows you exactly the type of person that we're talking about. You know, making pedophile jokes and all these other things. Oh, debate you. How am I supposed to, like, this, again, this is their stupidity. What's preventing you from debating or debunking anything I'm saying? You could easily pick any of the things I've said and But you won't hide behind this veneer. It isn't a two-way thing. I'm talking, you're obsessed, like always, watching, begging for attention. And instead of actually debating, debunking anything I'm saying, you just continue to prove the point. Eventually you get to the point where you start getting ignored because I already know you're not going to say anything. Which sucks for you, because on that off chance you do say something, it'll just get ignored. You're just fucking stupid. Just call me Jane. I will. Submarines are real. Oh, well, there's a debate for you. You saying something is you debating, not providing any sort of information or debate. You just saying something. That sure is a debate. I'd like to debate you. The grass is blue. What? The grass is blue? Can you show me? No. Can you explain what you're talking about? No. Why are you making that statement? I'm not telling. Good job, buddy. Good job. And again, it seems really strange that I'm talking about Naomi Elkins and there are Tel Aviv and Brooklyn profiles here trying to change the subject. Why are you so desperately trying to change the subject, you friar piece of shit? Why don't you guys tell us why metzitzia is okay? Why don't you tell, which is something we talked about yesterday. Why don't you tell us about soul correction, which is something we talked about yesterday. Bottom of Darkness article and everything that we talked about yesterday. Why don't you address any of that? Because obviously you can't. Remember yesterday when we were reading the Bottom of Darkness thing, and they were pointing out how, I think it was mentioned 3 separate times, that the rituals involve drowning, mock drowning, shit like that. Heads being submerged underwater, entire people being submerged underwater. Oh, look, Tom got really upset, realized he's getting his shit kicked in, but I started talking about raping children. So what does he do? Don't you guys think it's strange that every time I'm talking about pedophilia, these guys, their first instinct is to fly the blue and white pedo flag, the Israeli flag? Doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't it show you exactly what I'm talking about? Yep, fly that flag. We've got some other Trump supporters, so they're fucking pedophiles. You all know that Trump supporters are pedophiles. Anybody that supports a pedo is more than likely a pedophile, so it's a pretty safe bet. You support pedos, you are a pedo. I just can't understand why anybody, how you could see it any other way. The guy across the street, they're raping children. Do you like, yeah, no, that's a good neighbor. I like that guy. He's a good guy. And is that how you handle it? Or are you like, no, fuck that guy. He's a pedo. He needs to die. The majority of the Goyim go with option 2. Pedophiles need to die. Strangely enough, these friars, the people that also have on here, pedophiles supporting Trump, go figure, they always support Israel too. Don't you think that's amazingly coincidental? Israel is the pedophile safe haven. For standing up to this, hey, no problem. Liked and subbed. Yeah, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. This is the one feed talking about this shit. So, let's start talking about Naomi Elkins, because that seems to really bother them. I looked up Naomi Elkins and believe she's honestly thought she could get ahead of the curse, perhaps. Is that what you think? I highly suggest everybody go watch Naomi Elkins part 1 from yesterday. It's the setup. It explains the the why to the Naomi Elkins story. It explains, but it also it furthers my insistence that there be a new investigation into Naomi Elkins, because to me it's clearly the smoking gun. It's the smoking gun. Right? This is the best example of Semitism I've ever seen. And really, right on, Stormtrooper. Hey, I'm all for free Palestine, but free Palestine is like, it's almost it's a distraction. You don't say free Palestine to Lebanon. You don't say free Lebanon to Syria. You don't say free Syria to Iran. No, it's not about freeing any one individual country it's about ending the pedophile cult that is assaulting everyone, that is killing everyone. Naomi Elkins is not demon seed. She's out. Naomi Elkins is out. And of course, look, Tom Papa, the fucking Israeli friar from either Brooklyn or Tel Aviv, is calling her a queen. Like, this is how you know they're sick. Because this woman should be, the Jewish population should be the loudest one screaming, fuck Naomi Elkins. Except they're not going to. They're going to come on here and they're going to defend and they're going to lose their minds. Again, look at the feed. The title of my video is Naomi Elkins is a Smoking Gun Part 2. Why would anybody outside of my circle be interested in this video? And it's for what it is. Like, it's really fucking shocking. It's really fucking shocking. And so it's interesting too, because a couple of days ago I spoke to Grok. I was doing a Grok video, and I hate doing those videos. They're dumb, and Grok is designed to keep you on the line and keep you talking about it. But the fact is, Grok actually acknowledged that there's something really fucked up going on here. So Naomi Elkins, in June of 2024, I believe. Let's just go to it. Let's just read it. Naomi Elkins. All right, let's go to news, and then we'll go sort by date, just so you guys can see it for what it is. So, I'm seeing how far back this goes. Let's go to the first story talking about Naomi Elkins. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, so it goes back 6 pages. There's a Naomi Elkins obituary from 2017 out of Lambertville, New Jersey. There's another Naomi Elkins obituary. Or no, there's an L Naomi Elkins obituary. Lakewood home surrounded by police investigators, June 25th, 2024. Thomas P. Castillo. A child's tricycle sits outside the Shenandoah Drive home in Lakewood Wednesday, June 26, 2024, where 2 children were murdered the previous day. So, this is the Section 8 house that Naomi Elkins lives in, or lived in. You see how insane that house is? Naomi Elkins, 27, shown virtually during her initial appearance in State Superior Court Wednesday, June 26, with her attorney, Mitchell Lancel. You think Mitchell's a friar? She is charged with 2 counts of murder, possession of a weapon for unlawful purpose. What weapon was she in possession of? And unlawful possession of a weapon, all in connection with the deaths of her 2 children the previous day. Again, that is the Section 8 home in which she lives in. Do you see how small the SUVs are in the driveway? Do you see how gigantic this house is? Oh yeah, you owe me a fucking video. Come on, guy who said he bets I'm gonna wreck. I bet he wrecks. I didn't wreck, so let's have the Guy Williams Sucks video. And again, if you're watching this, like, share, sub. This video actually needs to get out. Like, a lot of times, like, share, sub, that's the thing you say, blah, 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 blah. I don't consider most of my videos to be of the utmost importance to everyone. This video is of the utmost importance to everyone, right? I will make you a mod. I'm out of your ass crack. What the fuck? Who but sick fucking friar says shit like this? What are you talking about? Oh wait, is Glenn the good guy? Was Glenn? I can't remember. Let me say weird shit though. That's really weird. Half the idiots on here don't even use VPNs. Isn't that kind of weird? Isn't it kind of weird when people aren't using VPNs? This guy says, yes, I'm Mossad. He nailed my location, actually. Yeah, they're definitely, this is for real. So, listen, Jane, don't fight with people in the comments, especially people that might even be, like, on the fence decent. Like, they right? They want us to be distracted by each other so that we aren't focused on them. So, I mean, you do what you want to do. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying, every time they get us fighting about stupid shit, it's because that's what they want us to do. And they're just laughing about it. So, crazy big house. Crazy big house that is Section 8. It's a Section 8 home. They don't, it's $1 million house. They don't pay for that. Section 8. Naomi Elkins, 29, original visual call during the Superior Court Wednesday. She's charged with 2 counts of murder, possession of a weapon for unlawful purposes, unlawful possession of a weapon, all in the deaths of her 2 children. Investigators gather at the scene of the home in Lakewood on June 25th. There's the investigators. This is going to get really, really good. Yep, Caplock Ken's here. Caplock Ken. He's yelling, guys. He's yelling. Yes, my government pays me to watch you. Very easy job. Like, I don't know if you think, like, doing that makes you look less guilty, but everybody knows that's what's happening. And your stupidity alone tells us that you're another inbred Israeli. It's just what it is. Tom is actually unemployed. I got into his shit a while back. Really? That seems weird. Sounds like KGB weird. Right. Again, why do you think it's KGB? Because the system told you, focus on Russia. Don't focus on Israel. No. Focus on Russia. Russia does that stuff, not us. All right, this is really just a weird. I've never seen anything like this before. Where it's just like, police gather at the Shenandoah Harbor. It's like they keep just showing it. Look at the size of that fucking house. Look how small the front door is. Look how small the garage door is. This is a 5-6 bedroom home. This thing is huge. This is just such a weird article. So that's the very first mention of Naomi Elkins killing her kids. That was Ashbury Park Press. So the next one is NBC New York. Mother accused of drowning 2 toddler girls in New Jersey home. A mother is facing murder charges for killing her 2 young daughters inside their home in a quiet enclave. Prosecutors said the mom first stabbed her 1-year-old, then drowned both children. NBC New York's Adam Harding reports. A woman has been charged with murdering her 2 daughters inside their New Jersey home, drowning them in a bathtub after stabbing the youngest. Authorities said Wednesday Naomi Elkins, a 27-year-old from Lakewood, was booked late Tuesday on 2 counts of purposeful murder and weapons offenses in the heart-wrenching case that unfolded on Shenandoah Drive near Rocking Bridge Road. She was being held without bail. Attorney information for Elkins wasn't known. Police said she was taken into custody at the scene where the 2 children, a 3-year-old and an almost 2-year-old, were found. Investigators later determined both children had been drowned. The youngest was also stabbed. At one point the night before, more than a dozen officers from both Ocean County Sheriff's Office and Lakewood Police Department were seen in the driveway, entering and exiting the home as patrol cars lined the block. Further details regarding the disturbing incident were not immediately available. Lakewood Police, think about that compared to like the shooting or the attack at the Republican dinner thing, you know, blah, blah, blah. You have Trump posting about it. You have all this information being released and put, like, they were really pushing that narrative out there. But this one, no. Oh yeah, it's horrendous, Jane. It's horrendous. Further details regarding the disturbing incident were not immediately available. Lakewood Police would only confirm that they were investigating the death of 2 young kids, referring questions to the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. Calls and messages sent by NBC New York to the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office were not immediately answered. Interesting, right? Interesting. NBC Los Angeles. Mother accused of drowning 2 daughters, ages 1 and 3, after stabbing youngest. A mother is facing murder charges in a New Jersey home. It's the exact same article. Literally the exact same article. Okay? So that was NBC New York, then NBC Los Angeles. Now we have the New York Post. And seriously, look at this fucking monster. Look at what she looks like. Look at this shit. She looks like she's drugged up out of her mind, doesn't she? I wonder I wonder what her toxicology report said, because they gave her a toxicology test, right? Of course not. Oh, look. We have the funny people making pizza jokes right now, talking about murdering children, rape, and all that shit. And these random guys with Israeli and Brooklyn IPNs are making pizza jokes. Do you think there's a connection here? Me thinketh there is. That's why this is happening right now. 7 likes, 7 viewers, 10 likes. You think all these people just stumbled across my feed like this, or were they assigned here like we talked about yesterday with act.io? Again, if you're sort of confused, go look at yesterday's feed and you'll get it. And go figure, again, all of the people that are the Trump supporters, the Israel supporters, the trolls, they all happen to be making pizza jokes, because that's what normal people do. Especially when the conversation is already about raping and killing children. you start making pizza jokes, right? Isn't that what normal people do? That seems to be what normal friars do. And you know, again, I appreciate it so much because you make the argument for me. You know, I could say all this shit and it could be one thing or another. But when you have the secondary, when you have you guys obviously so angry about me talking about it in the first place, but then that inbred stupidity has you so stupid that you honestly think like, I mean, I can't even imagine. I don't even know. I can't imagine being that fucking dumb. You know? You're like the fucking moron thug black kids that rob somebody or whatever and then go on Instagram afterwards posting about it. They got busted. Right? All you're doing is making this better for me. So I absolutely encourage you to keep doing it. You know? I absolutely encourage you to keep pointing these things, to see, keep just making weird ass comments that only pedos make. Like, they're weird to me because I'm not a pedo. So it just seems weird. Like, how would anybody even say some of these dumb things? But like I say, they don't, even though they're here to do something, they don't actually know how. A pedophile doesn't know how to respond to, you know, pedophilia in a believable way. You know, a pedophile, you know, these Israelis, these friar pedophiles, they try to pretend to be, quote, normal, just regular old people trolling the guy talking about these things, but they don't actually know how to respond properly. You know, non-pedos, non-friars, we don't make pedophile jokes. Who makes pedophile jokes? Nobody. But pedophiles, right? So here we have the New York Post. A New Jersey mother has been charged with murder in connection with the drowning deaths of her 2 toddler daughters. Officials say here, look at. Here, this is, what is this? The official news report.
Ocean County officials tell us 27.
Breaking news. This is breaking.
Coming up on 7:30, we have a sad breaking news update on a story we told you about last hour. Police have now arrested a mother in Lakewood, New Jersey, who they say killed her 2 young children. Ocean County officials tell us 27-year-old Naomi Elkins drowned her 1-year-old and 3-year-old. Police say the 1-year-old also appears to have been stabbed.
Oh my God. That is fucking awesome. Wow. I gotta give this Thor guy some fucking credit, man. He says anybody that's making the pizza jokes, he's snatching their information up, and I guess there's a Discord group specifically designed for this. You should be sharing my shit with them. But just because I'm fucking late 40s and stupid doesn't mean everyone is. And apparently, what I keep saying we need to have happen is actually happening. Look at Caplocks Ken. Every time you are on, it is always sad, period. Breaking news, question mark, no space, because you do not believe in Jesus. Oh my. What a dumbass. What an absolute dumbass. There's a story of a double murder of 2 children, 1 and 3. And what does this guy say? What the sad part is that you don't believe in Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, that's the sad part. You fucking weirdo, man. Get a life. You're not getting any younger. No one cares about this topic of yours. Apparently, a lot of people do. Especially you piece of shit friars who really seem to want me to not talk about this, which is weird. Why would you want me to not talk about it so much? There you go. That's how you know Jane is actually a decent person. Because it takes a really big person to go, hey, I was wrong about that. Sorry about that, you know. You wouldn't think so, but it does. In today's world, it actually does. All credit goes to the Lord Jesus Christ. Right, so the killing of those children is the Lord Jesus Christ doing. Gotcha. All credit goes to the Lord Jesus Christ. Man, you'd think if the Lord Jesus Christ was doing it, he wouldn't make you sound so stupid, huh? Jesus is for friars. Well, Jesus was made by friars. It's a friar fucking hoax. It's a friar fairy tale. Jesus is a friar. Mary was 12 years old when she got pregnant, 13 when she gave birth. And her 50 to 80-year-old husband, Joseph, was okay with it all. Like, it's all fucking friar bullshit, man. And it's actually really easy to see it. But this is again, apparently no one cares about this story about the 2 children that were murdered and then their murderer being free, 2 years later.
So this is originally what we heard is that police responded to a home on Shenandoah Drive just before 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. They tried giving the children life-saving aid, but they did die at the scene. And
that's not at all what happened. That's interesting that's how it's being reported here. So what happened was the police show up to that house and they're called there to a call of 2 children in cardiac arrest is what the original call is. 2 children in cardiac arrest. When they get there, they can barely park because the street is lined with cars. And there are goofy ass penguin friars all over the place. You'll see it. I'll show you in a minute. But they're just everywhere. Like it doesn't. Why would there be so many adult male friars just here, just here, especially before the police are there? The other, the other people are the Herzola. Herzola is the volunteer private is Jewish ambulance service. It's an ambulance. They have their own, in places like Lakewood, they have their own ambulance. They have their own ambulance service. They have their own police service, right? They are completely insulated, completely protected from the same laws, rules, and regulations that we are. And considering they live by Talmudic law, it's probably a good thing. Why should we care about this thing you say? There is no God according to you. Ha 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 ha. Well, okay, well, you do care though. You come here crying for attention every single day. You're literally telling me I shouldn't talk about this. It sounds like you care a lot. Belch. 6 viewers, 11 likes. Keep it going, guys. They're working overtime today to keep this feed quiet. They do not want this feed out there. Trust me. So the police show up and they're like the last ones there. You know, they're met by the Herzliya. They're met by the Israeli police who tell them that they tried to save the child or the children, but they just couldn't. The children were drowned in 2 separate bathtubs because, again, you saw that fucking house, right? Apparently, the youngest was stabbed in the stomach and drowned in 1 bathtub. And then the other child, the 3-year-old, saw what was happening, ran and tried to hide, but her monster mother grabbed her, put her in the bathtub, sat on her chest, and filled the bath water up until it got hot, it drowned her. Like, imagine the horrors. Imagine what that little girl's last moments on, like, if this narrative is true. This narrative isn't true, but this is the one they chose to go with because this is horrendous. They love to hide awful shit behind shit that's almost as awful. That way, you know, you're focused on, this thing's awful. I'm focused on this, right? Don't really have an accurate time frame with all of this. We don't have an accurate timeline, but she ends up getting arrested. So waffles, 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 pancakes. That's how stupid you are. The police go into the house. Again, I'm going to show you all this. The police are there. They're looking. You can see nothing but penguins. There's penguins everywhere. Like, literally, you could see 30 or 40 different male penguins all standing there, all kind of looking back at the police like they got, like guilty and shit. You know. Again, why would they be there? Why weren't all the names taken? Why wasn't the area cordoned off? This is a double murder of children. And it's being treated very, very casually. And you'll see it in the video. Just wait. And they finally, they go into the house. Now, I've never seen this before. And I watch a lot of those arrest videos. As soon as they walk into the house, the entire screen is blurred. The reason they give is because the scene was so horrendous that they blurred. A 1-year-old was stabbed in the stomach and then drowned in a bathtub. How much blood could possibly be there? I'm sure a lot of it went down the fucking drain. And of course, conveniently, because it's in a bathtub, all the evidence, all the fingerprints, all the bodily fluids, everything that's associated with it also washed down the drain. The other child was drowned in a different bathtub. So what was the scene? How could the scene be bad? Like, what would the scene look like that is that fucking bad that they have to blur everything? The reason they blur everything is because it's extremely friar everywhere. And it's obvious that there was some sort of ritual shit going on. So much so that the actual video, they don't even blur it after a minute. They just cut it. So the audio isn't even available. Then, when the audio comes back, the cop it has Naomi Elkins. He's walking her to the car. It's a black guy. He says, he's like, I have to search, like he's asking her permission and shit. I have to search you but I'm only going to use the back of my hand just to make sure you don't have any weapons. Like, this is the woman who just murdered her 2 children. And she's as calm as can be. She's as calm and as cool and collective as can be. They take her to the police station. When they get out of when the officer gets out of the car, driver's side, he goes to walk around the car to, put his gun in the thing and, like they have to do. Another officer walks up and she goes to like say something and he goes, I'm live or I'm recording or something. Like you can see his hand from the top of the video go like that, like that. He's going like that, like, don't do this. I'm live, don't do this. And she immediately shuts up. And everyone is just whisper quiet. Nobody's saying anything. They walk her into the police station. They uncuff her. And she sits there on the bench, nodding and fucking saying, saying all kinds of stupid shit. Again, uncuffed and shit. And they're waiting for the detectives to show up. The detectives show up, and the one detective goes walking, the other one goes walking, and she's just walking. Now, one thing you have to remember, she's walking through the police station, handcuffed, and nobody's holding on to her arm. Whenever you're handcuffed, a police officer is supposed to be hanging on to you because if you fall, you can't put your arms out to brace yourself. You could get really hurt. So they always have to have someone holding you while you're in cuffs. Once the detectives show up, one detective goes, Naomi goes in between, then the other detective goes, and the video stops. You don't get any more video. Roughly a year later, after a 90-minute trial, based on the 11-hour interview by one psychiatrist, Naomi Elkins is given an insanity defense, something that less than 0.25% of all murders are actually successfully able to get the insanity defense. Less than 0.25%. And that's usually after that's always after years and years of trial, multiple different psychiatrists, multiple different medical opinions, hundreds of hours of interview to finally say this person was actually insane at the time. And that's what they say. They say that at the time of the murders, Naomi Elkins was insane. And she said that she killed her children to destroy all of the evil in the world. She thought by killing her 2 children, she would destroy all the evil in the world. That was her fucking, that was her stated purpose, I guess. Again, very much a manufactured narrative. Boy, is it interesting how difficult it is for my feed to get going today, huh? 3 watchers with 14 fucking likes? Isn't that strange how this works? 15 likes now. 15 likes and 3 viewers. You ever seen anything like this before? It doesn't sound like a Jesus sacrifice at all. It sounds like, well, I guess what you're saying about the dying for the sins kind of thing, but it's not. She's given the insanity defense, which means she's given 17 likes and 3 viewers. Totally makes sense, guys. She's given 75 years per child in an institution. However, because she's found not guilty by reason of insanity. So, if for some reason she's deemed no longer a danger to herself or others, 18 likes and 3 viewers. No longer a danger to herself and others, she gets let go. That was in June of 2025, I believe. Which makes no sense, but I'm pretty sure 19 likes. She's out of prison already. Because on December 22nd, no, December 17th is when, no. June 27th, 2025. So, like, literally 2 months after she is sentenced, or this is supposed to happen, Shorebeat reports that on June 27th, 2025, a developer representing Brick Township Zoning Board are preparing to square off in court following the board's decision to deny permission to build a home on what officials termed a severely undersized lot, claiming the board erred on both the law and was influenced by what the property owner perceived as anti-Semitic questions asked by her neighbors at a board hearing. Hey, we got 420 going. 4 viewers, 20 likes. Totally makes sense, right, guys? What's up, Karen? Tell me you've seen another video with 4 watchers and 20 likes. I don't know how, like, to me, this is the most obvious aspect of things, right? If I'm wrong, why don't they just let me be wrong and then let society correct the issue by telling me? What's up, Matt? Yeah, nowhere. You'll never see anything even close to this. 4 viewers and 20 fucking likes. Totally makes sense. The board in February rejected the application of Esther Cohen, Esther Project, and Naomi Elkins, co-owners of the property, which does not currently have a postal address, to develop a triangular-shaped piece of land where Illinois Avenue, New Jersey Avenue, and Pennsylvania Avenue come together. The 2 streets meet in the middle of a neighborhood between Lanes Mill and Sally Ike Roads in the Herbertsville section, with the proposed single-family home having frontage on both Illinois and Pennsylvania Avenue. The lot measures 4,812 square feet. However, the township's zoning ordinance requires a minimum of 9,000 square feet to build a home on a corner lot in the R7.5 residential zone where the property is located. So essentially, I lost a like. Reggie, what's happening, man? How are you? So this property right here. So you can see it's the triangular lot right in the middle. There's actually 2 triangle lots, but it's the dirty looking one, the one that's all dirt. Basically, those lots were zoned as open areas in this residential neighborhood since 1925. 1925 is when they decided, hey, you know, these houses are big. Like, look at how big the houses are. Look at how big the neighborhood is. Plop that house right there with the blue roof, right where that tree is, and it doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. Like, it makes sense, right? Oh, yeah. Ellie and Ken are absolutely obsessed. Oh, we have more people making pizza jokes. Make sure you're keeping a name, keeping tally. I have 2 watchers and 19 likes. Isn't it obvious by the amount of people commenting that there's more than 2 people here? And doesn't it make sense? Like, what the fuck is going on here? 2 triangles upside down by any. Well, again, this has been zoned this way since 1925. I'm sure there's been lots of people that wanted to try to build a house but weren't allowed to. I mean, it's like, it's the way it is. It's the law. The entire county has a minimum square footage law that is double, literally double, what this lot is available or has available. Let's keep going. The property owners are represented by Brick Township attorney Joseph Michelini. A copy of the, in funny, you would think Joseph Michelini was Italian. He's not. A copy of the complaint obtained by Shorebeat states the lot was carved out in 1925 as part of a fledgling community known as Hollywood Manor. Gee, that's weird. Good old Hollywood Manor, where the Friars want to build their house on a triangular lot. Come on, man. You know, again, all of you fucking arrogant Christians, at the end of the day, you think God, Jesus, is paying attention to you while children are literally being raped by clergy. While Israel is starving Christian children. I mean, the rapes are happening in Christian children, but they're starving Christian children and then dropping bombs on them, especially in Lebanon, where it's a much, much larger Christian population than people think. So while God is busy hanging out with you, God is busy answering your prayers. Those guys must not be praying right that the bombs don't fall on them. They must not be praying right that they get some food. Praying like you, because you have it figured out, because God answers your prayers. And the fact that God answers your prayers, and we still have all those situations, means your prayers are selfish, right? You don't pray for anything that actually matters. Because if you did, God answers it, and shit would be different, right? The arrogance it takes to be a Christian rivals, you know, it's the father religion, rivals what it takes to be a friar. But at least the friars just say, like, we're God's chosen people and God favors us. They don't sit there thinking, God has a plan, it's all God's plan, and then anytime I want that plan to go my way, I just push my hands together real tight, and I close my eyes real tight, and I say some words, and then I do some symbolism shit, and then God answers my prayers. Doesn't happen. Doesn't fucking happen. There has never been R against in atheism. What? What the fuck is this guy even trying to say? Normally you can sort of pull it together. But you know what you never see? You never see atheists doing mass shootings. You never see atheists getting busted raping children in a huge pedophile ring and shit. And believe me, if that was happening, it would be all over the news. The atheist that did this, it's because he doesn't have God. It's because he doesn't have God. They would revel in it. And then when people are like, well, what about the endless supply of ones before and after this that are do have God, and they still do. That doesn't matter. This guy doesn't have God in his life, so he's out there killing people. You know? From the American perspective, nobody has been worse to our societal, to our human society than Christians. Christians are the worst people on record. The truth is, it was the friars manipulating the Christians and the Muslims. But outwardly, nobody's been worse than Christians. Writing God bless America on bombs and shit. Like, you guys are fucking nuts. The complaint in its substantive legal arguments states that the board erred in determining the parcel did not qualify for a hardship variance since the property owner purchased the lot knowing it was undersized. Right, they bought the lot knowing they weren't allowed to build on it, and then immediately we're like, well, we need a hardship thing. We need an exception, a hardship exception, so we can build a house here. Now, the thing that most people don't realize is that's the last thing you want to happen. The last thing you want in your neighborhood is a bunch of fucking Hasidiotics. They're monster. Like, so what happens? So part of their belief is that they can essentially worship anywhere, which really puts Hanukkah into question, the whole bullshit narrative behind Hanukkah. But we talked about that yesterday. But essentially, if a friar is living in the place, it becomes a place of worship. So what they do is they find a way to get into a neighborhood, one way or another, whether it's buying up a house or whatever, who knows, Once they get into the neighborhood, that neighborhood's fucked. Because now, every day, the streets are going to be lined with cars of a bunch of bad drivers who fucking hate you and don't think of you as cattle. Like, think about it. If you had to share the road with cattle, would you be like, excuse me, cattle, beep, beep? Or would you be like, get the fuck out of the fucking way, you dumb cows? Right? And they end up turning this, whatever the house is, into this house of worship, which is probably where the house of worship comes from. Ew, you're fucking weird, man. You're fucking weird. Again, who the fuck says this kind of weird shit? You guys are fucking gross. So once that happens, then your grass is getting driven over. These little monsters are running around your neighborhood like crazy. They're mean. They're not nice, and they just make it a less, a worse place for you to live, a worse place for anyone to live. And so it starts putting that seed in your head that, I want to get the fuck out of here. And then one day, somebody comes and knocks on your door and says, excuse me, your house is worth $150,000 by our calculations. We'll give you $500,000 to move out by next month. Of course you're going to take that shit, right? First of all, you're going to get double, triple what your house is worth. And secondly, you get to get the fuck out of these this new cesspool that is happening. And then they just keep repeating the process. That 500,000, how does a Hasidiotic family, 12, 13, 18, 15, 20 kids, the father doesn't work, the mother supposedly stays home and takes care of the kids, but that doesn't seem to happen. The father's at the yeshiva all day, so he's not working. How do they begin to pay for that? how do they begin to offer you double, triple what your house is worth? It's because it's all Israeli financed at the end. Israeli, mega donors. I remember reading 10 years ago, maybe more, I don't know, that extremely wealthy friars were buying up huge parcels of land in Pennsylvania so they could bring settlers over and start settlements in Pennsylvania. Like it's literally, this is what's been happening, and it's happening in every community in the United States, every state in the United States. You have your friar neighborhoods. Here in Michigan, it's Huntington Woods. And you see little penguins walking around, right? Eventually, like they did in Lakewood, they buy up enough houses to where they can they have enough of the population that when it comes time for voting, they vote their guys into all of the positions. And like I say, what happened in Lakewood was that the overwhelmingly all friar board decided to reallocate funds from the public schools into the busing system. So to bus their kids to their private schools, and because the boys and the girls can't ride on the same bus together, it has to be 2 separate buses on each route. They took funds from the public school and put it into that private school busing program. And two public schools actually shut down because of it, and more are on the way. I mean, this should be ringing alarms, and this is as illegal as it gets. You're not allowed to take funding from public schools to bus one special group to a private school. That doesn't make any sense. How is that fucking legal? But that's what happens. That's what they do. And they do that with everything. They just start, because again, they're in charge. And they just start funneling money into their shit, taking it from the people, from the Goyim that live there, and they turn it into a settlement. And so now you have sort of the layout of things. Now, let's finish reading this. 1920 part Hollywood Man. The complaint, hardship variance. Michelini counters that since the lot was never combined with the neighboring parcel or separated from a neighboring parcel, but has always been kept separate and apart since 1925. That's what it says. Wait. Michelini counters that since the lot was never combined with the neighboring parcel or separated from a neighboring parcel, but has always been kept separate and apart since 1925. That sentence doesn't make any sense. Yep, I just keep yapping. Another one of those words they love to use, because apparently if you tell friars that they just keep yapping, it really upsets them. Don't say that. I'm not yapping. What I'm saying is important. Anyway, that sentence doesn't make sense. He counters that since the lot was this way, then what's the counter? Since it was done this way, and the thing. The complaint points to a statement made by the zoning board chairman at one point during the meeting, indicating that the property would qualify for a hardship variance due to its irregular shape. You said it. I heard you say it one time. That one time I heard you say it. They love doing that. The applicant sought approval to build a 1,702 square foot single-family home on the 0.1 acre parcel, well below the 9,000 square foot required to construct a home in the underlying zone. The 4,812 square foot lot was not adequate to accommodate such construction, the board found. Doesn't that seem pretty fucking like reasonable? Right? Doesn't that seem this kind like that makes total sense? Of course. Doesn't follow the rules, been this way since 1925. Like, other than Semitism, other than policy and predisposition being favorable to you, what reason should the board make this exception for you? What the fuck? Aw, snap. For some reason, it just decided to shut down. Oh, let's see. A driveway was proposed to access a home from Illinois Avenue, which would have had the potential to cause a serious traffic hazard since the property is located at the confluence of the three streets, an engineer's report noted. Michelini said his client offered to move the driveway to alleviate those concerns. However, the board still rejected the application. Again, it makes... Think about that triangle and think about any sort of driveway on that triangle. Can you imagine the hazard that would cause? This is where it gets good, though. The complaint also makes allegations of anti-Semitism, which it is. It actually is. If the policy and the predisposition isn't favorable to them, then they can, legally, accurately call it anti-Semitism, because that's what it is. It opposes them being special. Against the neighbors who objected to the lot's development at the meeting. Can you imagine? Like, they show up, they stink to high fucking hell. They're fucking entitled and arrogant and shit. Like, no, we're gonna break the law. You need to change things just to accommodate us so we can invade your neighborhoods. Obviously, no one else was selling a house in that neighborhood and they couldn't get in any other way. The owners of the property are both Orthodox friar and, according to the complaint, were wearing traditional Orthodox style clothing at the meeting. This led to several questions from neighbors, which were perceived by Miss Elkins' husband as anti-Semitic. They were perceived by Miss Elkins' husband, which is who? Why don't we just give his name and say who the fuck he is? What part of this narrative does he, Naomi Elkins and the other broad are the property owners, which again seems kind of weird. But why does her husband get that? According to her husband, who the fuck is he? I wonder if it's the same Naomi Elkins' husband who goes unnamed in the other Naomi Elkins story. Example of such questions, the complaint states, include what kind of clients are they going to attract to the area, which again seems like a very reasonable thing to ask anyone, and further questions as to whether or not the owners intended to live in the home themselves or rent it out. Again, pretty standard bullshit. How that becomes anti-Semitism is beyond me. Well, no. It's anti-Semitism because they didn't just capitulate and give in and be like, whatever you'd like, sir friars, whatever makes you happy. That's the anti-Semitism. I understand that. But outside of that truth that we're not supposed to know, what is the complaint saying? How is asking, are you going to rent this house out, or are you planning on living there? We have a family neighborhood here. Are you planning on bringing in a family? I mean, it's a single home. Or, are you planning on bringing kids in? Like, what's going on? Are you planning on renting this out to drug dealers? Like, what the fuck is your purpose with this? Seems like a really reasonable question to ask, right? The last time I came across this guy, he was doing drugs in front of his toddlers. So, like 10 years ago? Yeah, like 10 years ago, I had toddlers. Are you saying it was 10 years ago that you just happened to stumble across me, even though we've seen you here multiple times recently? How can you handle this much contempt? Because I know what the truth behind it is. If I wasn't 100% right in what I'm saying, why the fuck else would they be here? How the fuck are they here? Do you honestly think a bunch of real life friars, they got nothing else going on, so they're just randomly searching through YouTube and they happen to stumble across this page of all pages? And because of that, they are, they were like, oh my gosh, he's talking about Naomi Elkins, who they should be disgusted by, but apparently they defend wholeheartedly. And then, of course, they come back day after day after day after day, talking about everything but what I'm talking about, constantly trying to change the subject. Again, trying to get attention as much as they possibly can, and never actually debunking or anything what I'm saying. Like, this is as obvious as it gets. This contempt, this negativity is better than support. Right? When it's support, when it's someone like Karen, then the comments are, oh, well, you just agree with anything Guy says. Okay, fair enough. It's not true, but whatever. If it's somebody close to me, but at least they're addressing what I'm saying, then it seems, at least it's like rational and whatever. But when you're supposedly opposed to me, and I'm saying all these controversial things, going against the grain in every fucking way possible, not giving you the Semitism that you demand, and you can't say anything about it, you're clearly upset, but instead you're just, your hair, your beard, your wife, your ceiling, you're poor, you're fucking whatever. You're yapping. Dude, you watch me every day for hours. You don't hate me. You're one of my biggest fans. And again, if you could say something against what I'm saying, you 100% would. If I screw up something, if I stumble, if something stupid happens in the background, whatever it may be, you guys instantly jump all over. Look, you screwed up there. You said that. So clearly you can pay attention. You can hear what's being said, what's being talked about. And yet, you do the other thing. You never address anything I'm saying. That says more than anything. That says more than anything else. And then, of course, you start looking into things like IP addresses, things like, you pay attention to actually what they're saying. And, it's all really obvious that it's Israel. It's Israel and the friars that are really, really upset with me. And it wouldn't be if I wasn't, dangerous. I was looking at I Am Blakely today. I like I Am Blakely. I think she does a good job. But I've been, she's not like overly Christian, but she clearly has Christian tendencies, at least from what I've been seeing. And I'm pretty sure she's a gay. So if you're a gay and you're a Christian, You got a rude fucking future coming, don't you? A rude awakening. When you're like, oh, I've been a really good person. I donated to this and I helped that and I raised children successfully and all that. And God's like, yeah, but I hate you. You're going to hell. Like that's what you believe. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's what you believe. But I am Blakely was talking about, she had a video talking about, you know, my fellow Christians kind of thing. And it's like, dude, how is it all of you read from the same script? You all claim to be these truthers who see the light, especially when it comes to, it's not like China's the bad guy. We're talking about Israel. We're talking about the friars. And yet you still buy the Jesus bullshit? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How do you stop being a truther? How do you stop truthering when it comes to Jesus? It's fucking weird, right? Anyway, I am Blakely. Go fuck yourself. You're just another Esther project. They're all Esther project. Ian Carroll, Esther project. If you follow the Ian Carroll page, suddenly Ian Carroll page is posting a bunch of old shit about Charlie Kirk stuff. You know, popular. Like, hey, I'm just busy doing something right now. Make sure you download that software to your phone that I provide you for free. Make sure you do that. Don't ask too many questions now. The one thing that you can say about me is I've been doing this for a very long time. Very long time. Many, many years. And outside of getting in trouble, and even once that happens, I'm still available on other platforms. You know, if I get in trouble here, I'm on Facebook. If I get in trouble on Facebook, I'm on, you know, shit like that. I've never disappeared on you guys. In all of this time, I've never just been like, oh, well, I'm going to bail for a couple of weeks, months. Let you guys just wonder what the fuck happened. It's crazy. Look at this. Look at these dumbasses. I swear. You would think like I must be doing something for them to put this much effort in. This much energy. Fucking, you know, Caplock Ken. He's just enter, enter. He's just he doesn't even hear what's being said. He can't even address what's like. Even if you try talking to that moron, he the whole time he's speaking in another language anyway. Yeah, guys, ever notice how when you talk to Christians, they speak in a different language? They just start talking in a way that doesn't, like, dude, you don't talk like that. What the fuck are you talking about? You know? Manic mantras. There you go. So anyway. Naomi Elkins, here we go. The complaint further stated, there was a question as to what kind of family is going to want to buy a house such as this one. Right. What kind of family? Like, this is going to be a really small, dinky house on a dangerous corner lot. Who the fuck's going to want to live there? Because that's anti-Semitism. There was a comment that said this was a family neighborhood and they wanted to keep it that way. Again, it's amazing how they can just interpret anything into being anti-Semitism, which is why you should just embrace the fucking term. They're going to use it against you anyway. If you care about the neighborhood you live in and wonder why these people are not only, you know, buying this property, but then trying to break the law to build a house that you know, is going to throw off the values of the neighborhood. It's going to be, you know, a third of the size as any other of any other house. Like, everything is wrong and off about this. You're a concerned homeowner, worried about your own shit. And that's supposed to be a negative for you? Like, that's It's stupid. I can't help but notice again. It's in Hollywood manner. That's what it's called. Several neighbors testified that allowing the developments by the plaintiffs would change the character of the neighborhood. Meaning, those two triangle lots are probably a big part of the neighborhood character. It's probably where people have picnics and gather. When they probably have like parades and shit, or 4th of July, things where they have the fireworks go off from the middle of the thing, and everybody's like, it's going to absolutely, if you build a house on a corner piece of land that was zoned specifically to be an open area and has been that way for 100 fucking years, you're going to change the character of that neighborhood. That is not saying, oh, because it's Jews. Are we to say that no other Jews have ever lived in that neighborhood? Ever? That's what it is? Futurucci. Further, the complaint alleges that the zoning board's attorney also agreed that a hardship variance could apply to the property. I heard him say it. He's like, I didn't say that shit. No, we heard him say it. And testimony from his client's engineer and planner were unrebuted. Any expert with witnesses proffered by objectors. His client's engineer and planner were unrebuted by any expert witnesses proffered by objectors. The fuck does that even mean? 8 watchers, 20 likes. Totally makes sense, doesn't it, peoples? Additionally, Michelini argues that testimony as to the $20,000 purchase price of the lot, a low price, presumably due to the impression that it was unbuildable, should not have been considered by the board. What? A very obvious fucking hiccup in their thing. The property was sold as this. Because if you could sell it as a buildable property, it would sell for a shit ton more, being a corner lot in a highly desirable neighborhood. But their attorney said, well, that doesn't matter. That shouldn't count. The worst part is they win. They win. The board was poised to grant the application with appropriate considerations, but then caved to public opinion, which was not based upon legitimate reasons for opposing the application. The comments from the public did not constitute a legitimate basis upon which the board should have denied the application, and were totally unsupported by expert testimony. Not true. It's just not true. The case has been making its way through the court system since it was filed shortly after the hearing. Superior Court Judge Francis Hodgson has scheduled a pretrial conference for July 7th. The board is being represented in the matter by Ronald D. Chuchario of the Wiener Law Group. The Anthony Weiner Law Group. Again, just more coincidence. Wait a minute. Oh. Apparently that's the end of it. Okay. What the fuck is happening here? It's like it's just gone here. Why the fuck isn't this loading? All right, let's try to reload it. Let's refresh and see what happens. Maybe I'll have one of those situations where the link or whatever will disappear, be eliminated while I'm watching it. That would be cool. I haven't had that happen yet. But this shit's just gotten stuck. Like, look at this. It won't load. Then this middle part loads. And then the end just shuts off. What the fuck is happening here? Must be, I must have walked over a line, right? My signals, the range of two different towers happens to run right through my house. So I cross from one tower to the next, which is why my signal keeps getting so fucked up, right? Why isn't this loading? Come on, load, fuckface. Look at this. Oh, here we go. Is it going to load this time? It's loading. It's loading. All right, it loaded, I think. Okay, so I guess that was the end of the thing. And now when I go down to the bottom, it just stops working again. What the fuck is going on here? This sure is a strange article. All right, that was June 27th, 2025. It was looks like April 7th or April 6th is when the other Naomi Elkins had her was given her sentence. So this happens April, May, June, roughly 3 months later. And then in December 17th, court overturns Brick Zoning Board decision, will allow home to be built on undersized lot. What? Two developers seeking to build a home on an undersized residential lot in the township of Herbertsville section have won a lawsuit seeking to overturn a denial by the Brick Township Zoning Board. The zoning board. How many times do you think the zoning board has lost a decision? How many times do you think? I mean, that must have been the first time somebody ever tried to build on that property, right? Because obviously, if all it took was a little bit of push and shove, then somebody else should have gotten their way. But seriously, have you ever heard of that? Have you ever heard of somebody wanting to build a house on a place that wasn't zoned for a house to be built, was specifically zoned against it, had been that way for, again, a century, for 100 fucking years, and then somebody just comes in and gets and the zoning board denies them, so then they sue and they win? Have you ever heard of such a thing? Is Bernie the guy in your neighborhood? Because we have Sam. We have Call Sam. Sam Bernstein. Call Lee for free. Call Mike Morse. Jeffrey Feiger used to be a big guy here, but those Epstein files sort of stopped him. The chosen do not have the same rules we do. Well, that's what this whole Naomi Elkins narrative is showing you, and not just showing you in one example, but two drastically different, supremely powerful examples. Right? This bitch killed her two daughters. We got to go back to it. By the way, we have 9 viewers and 20 likes. Just let that sink in. The board in February 2025 rejected the application of Esther Cohen and Naomi Elkins, co-owners of the property, which does not currently have a postal address because it's not supposed to be a residential area, to develop a triangular-shaped piece of land where Illinois, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania avenues all come together. The two streets met in the middle of a neighborhood between Lanes Mills and Sally Lake Roads in the Herbertsville section, with the proposed single-family home having frontage on both Illinois and Pennsylvania avenues. The lot measures 4,812 square feet. However, the township's zoning ordinance requires a minimum of 9,000 square feet to build a home on a corner lot in the R7.5 residential zone where the property is located. Cohen and Elkins sued after the decision was rendered by the board, arguing the board caved to public opinion. So the people that live in the neighborhood should have no say. Which is so interesting, because when they are the board and anybody goes against them, well, what the neighbors think is all that matters. Due to the ultra-Orthodox Friar status of the developers, Superior Court Judge Francis Hodgson ordered November 12th, 2025, that the zoning board's decision be overturned, stating in his decision that the board's, quote, denial of this application for this application with variances is arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable. What? For reasons set forth in an early oral decision issued from the bench. The audio decision was not accessible to the court system database. Why? Where's transparency? Hodgson ruled that the denial be overturned and that developers do not have to return to the board for a new hearing. Instead, they may proceed building on the property as long as they comply with any conditions agreed to at the zoning board hearing. What? The judge also said the developers should meet with the township's engineering and planning professionals to a proposed driveway for safety purposes. The applicant sought the approval to build a 1,702 square foot single-family home on the 0.1 acre parcel, well below the 9,000 square foot required to construct a home in the underlying zone. And again, all of the houses in the neighborhood are like 3 times the size. So suddenly you just have this dainty little fucking shack in the middle of this neighborhood at the most prime point, literally point of the neighborhood, where everybody used to hang out for 100 years. People used to hang out there, have barbecues there, 4th of July's there, celebrate, Memorial, all that shit. And now you have some piece of shit, smelly ass little house of worship? That is fucking insane. The 4,812 square foot lot was not adequate to accommodate such construction, the board found. A driveway was proposed to access the home from Illinois Avenue, which would have had the potential to cause a traffic hazard, since the property is located at the confluence of 3 streets, an engineer's report noted. You know the engineers? Michelini said his client offered to move the driveway to alleviate those concerns. However, the board still rejected the application. Where the fuck is the driveway supposed to go? What the fuck, dude? This is the craziest shit. Again, you can see where it's supposed to be. Like, look at how big those houses are all around the neighborhood. Pools and all that shit. And you're going to squeeze a little house into that triangle? I can't zoom into the picture. I keep trying to zoom in and it won't let me. And then it like shuts the shit down. What the fuck is going on here? The complaint made allegations of anti-Semitism against neighbors who objected to the lot's development at the meeting. The owners of the property, according to the complaint, were purposefully wearing traditional Hasidic or Orthodox style clothing, so then they could say, look, they were looking at us funny. They kept saying how bad we smell. This led to several questions from the neighbors, which were perceived by Miss Elkins' husband as anti-Semitic, is the quote. Again, what sense does that make? Who the fuck is her husband? Example of such questions, like this is copy and paste. Example of such questions, plaintiffs in the neighborhood. And then the fucking thing shuts down. Why isn't this working? Guys, seriously, look, it's just not fucking working. They copy and pasted most of this article from the previous article, but then there's no ending. It just goes blank. What do you think this is? Please, somebody tell me how I'm wrong about this. This is totally natural, totally normal. This is what happens whenever you look up something online. Try to reset it. Okay. Nope. It didn't work. And you can see it's not even moving. It stopped refreshing, but it's not moving. Try again. Oh, here we go. Now it's finally loading. Okay. Further, the complaint alleges the board's attorney also agreed the hardship, you can't pay attention to the price. So that's it. They literally just copy and pasted the article and then added a little bit to it. Let's see what Patch has to say. Patch wrote about this on December 22nd. A Superior Court judge has overturned a denial by the Brick Township Board of Adjustment of a proposal to build a single-family home on an undersized lot. Judge Francis R. Hodgins Jr. issued the ruling on November 12th. November 12th, and yet nobody's talking about it till December 22nd? That's weird. Revising the zoning board's 2024 denial of the application by Esther Kayla Cohen and Naomi Elkins that sought to build a 1,700 square foot home on a triangle lot bordered by blah, blah. The house would have had 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, an attic, and a basement that would have had no exterior access according to court documents. Wow, they really planned on building quite the house there, huh? Again, it's so funny when you look at these fucking commenters on here, because, I'm talking about something and someone that everybody should have nothing but disdain for. Naomi Elkins is a monster. And yet, you guys support her, I guess. And you guys support the breaking of the law and the Semitism being shown to people who don't deserve it and blah, blah, blah. It's interesting. You guys, you bozo clowns are fucking just playing it up. You guys make my feed that much stronger. Cohen and Elkins filed suit over the zoning board's decision at the board's November 13, 2024 meeting that unanimously denied approval for the construction. According to the lawsuit, they needed a variance because the size of the lot, just 4,800 square feet, did not meet the minimum size for building in the zone, where lots are required to be 7,500 square feet minimum. Oh, the lot in question was required to be 9,000 square feet in minimum because it's bordered by 2 streets. Seems like it makes sense, doesn't it? Seems like this shouldn't be a religious thing. This shouldn't be a chosen thing. This should just be something where, come on, guys, this doesn't work. The application also needed setback variances. They needed even more variances. Not just this variance, but this variant. They needed all sorts of Semitism to come their way. The application also needed setback variances because of the shape of the property. Because of the shape of the property limited the width of the house and due to the shape of the lot. The lawsuit alleged neighbors made several statements that were offensive to Naomi Elkins, or to Elkins and her husband, that they perceived as being anti-Semitic, including statements from people who, quote, wanted to know who was going to live there, assholes. Why would they want to know who's going to live in the house if it's going to be a family like all the other families? Again, are we to believe that no Jews have ever lived in this neighborhood and don't currently? That seems highly unlikely. Such comments were particularly offensive because applicants are Orthodox friar persons, and the husband of the plaintiff, Naomi Elkins, was introduced at the hearing and present in Orthodox clothing at the hearing. The lawsuits. Again, this just doesn't make sense. Imagine you going to court and getting the court to side with you because you were like, you didn't like the way I was dressed, and I perceived your statements as offensive. Can you imagine them doing anything but laughing you out of the courtroom? There were specific questions to whether or not the plaintiffs intended to live there themselves or rent it out. Were they going to live there? Because, all the other people that live in this neighborhood, they all live there. And when people live in a neighborhood and live in their house, they take better care of it than renters do. It's a family neighborhood, everybody, blah, 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 blah. Asking if someone was the purchasers were going to live there or rent it out. How dare they? Like, seriously, can you imagine being asked these questions and being like, I am so offended by this? Or being presented with somebody being like, I'm offended by what that person's saying. When you be like, shut the fuck up, what's wrong with you? But if friar community and non-friar build house, the friars would be asking who's going to live there. Absolutely. They would be denying it. They wouldn't let you live there. You know the whole 8 Mile thing in Michigan? 8 Mile was considered the borderline between the whites and the blacks. My dad used to tell me that they wouldn't cross over 8 Mile when he was a kid. Because it was just that border. And it was the friars who made that shit happen. Like, the racism has always been there with them. Several neighbors testified that allowing the development by the plaintiffs would change the character of the neighborhood, the lawsuit said. Again, they're interpreting that as because they're friars, not they're building a small single-family home in a neighborhood full of giants on a piece of land that has been historically dedicated to the neighborhood. Kids play in that land. They have picnics and shit. They have two pieces of land on either side, 2 triangles on either side of this place that weren't safe enough to build houses on in the beginning to begin with. So they made these like communal spaces. To put a house on one of those communal spaces absolutely changes the character of the neighborhood. Are you telling me that they didn't have a competent authority or attorney or representative that could make these points? Or was the judge just not hearing them? Funny, you're not going to see anything. You're not going to find anything about this trial. You're not going to find transcripts. You're not going to find any transparency when it comes to any of this shit. If I was the people of that neighborhood, I would be picketing. I would be doing if I lived in that neighborhood, I would be organizing the picket. I would absolutely do everything I could to keep them out of my fucking neighborhood. Because they plan on wrecking it. They plan on wrecking it and taking it over. If they can wreck it, then the values drop. And they can buy the houses for cheaper. And even though they get all the money for free, they still want to save as much of it as they can. They are friars. The property owners next door to the lot also opposed the application, but the lawsuit notes they declined to purchase the property when it was offered to them. So, because they didn't buy it, then it somehow... What? Right. Because it's... Again, the part that had to be left out was that they only paid $20,000 for the lot, which no lot in that neighborhood goes for anywhere close to that because you can build on them. This lot being zoned as something that can't be built on sold for $20,000. Like, if I was the seller, I would be furious. I would be suing the fuck out of these guys. The lawsuit says the resolution of denial was adopted 2 months after the hearing and cited the fact that the property owners didn't try to buy the neighboring property and could have made the property large enough to meet the zoning requirements. But they didn't want to. Why would that matter? That's the stupidest fucking argument. Well, they could have done it. And then if they merged the properties together, then it would have been one big property and they could have built on it. But they didn't want to. Yeah, but that means we should be allowed to. The denial also cited a realtor's report on the property value, but she didn't testify at the hearing, and that the location of the proposed driveway was also unsafe. The lawsuit said the zoning board never questioned the realtor's report during the hearing, and that the proposed driveway could be moved, and that Cohen and Elkins' engineer had said he would work with the board engineer to move it to a location that satisfied the concern. But that it couldn't satisfy the concern is the point. The driveway was put in the most accommodating position possible from the beginning, and it wasn't good enough. How much work do you think that he's doing? And the funny thing is, the judge also ruled that they don't have to work with the zoning board. So, do you really think he's working with the zoning board? The lawsuit also said the board ignored a statement from its own attorney that said they could not consider the purchase of an undersized property as a self-created hardship on their ability to build on it, and that the board chairman, David Chadwick, acknowledged that hardship exists when the strict application of any zoning regulation would result in peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties or an undue hardship on the developer by reason of the narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a particular piece of property. I mean, that's fucking nuts. They bought the property knowing it couldn't be built on, and then created the hardship by saying, well, it can't be built on, so we need a hardship clause because we bought this property to build on it knowing we weren't allowed to. This just doesn't fucking make any sense outside of Semitism. This makes no fucking sense, like having 8 viewers and 20 likes. 8 viewers and 20 likes. That makes sense. You've seen that before, right? The hardship exists. The chairman specifically indicated that the lot met the criteria of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape. It was too narrow, too shallow, and too irregular in shape. In fact, He said that the lot certainly meets the hardship definition, the lawsuit said. When did he say this? Again, I'm thinking this happened like they heard him say that to them. They had a meeting with him. I think I remember something about there being a meeting between two representatives and the guy, and that's where he said it, and that's what they're quoting. The board was poised to grant the application with appropriate conditions, but then caved when the public opinion was not based upon legitimate reasons for opposing the application. Basically, they were just going to push it through and be as quiet as they could just so they could accommodate these friars. But then the public got whiff of it and were like, hey, this fucking stinks. What are you talking about? You can't do this. And that public outcry from all of the people that live there was overshadowed by this one friar group. It's just one friar group, and there's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Just go back to sleep, you dung Goyim. Go back to sleep now. Hey, what about the war? The comments from the public opinion did not constitute legitimate basis upon which the board should have denied the application and were totally unsupported by expert testimony. Just the last 100 years of zoning shit. Like, this is insane. This is fucking insane. It is in reply to the lawsuit, the zoning board said, Elkins' engineer provided a very limited argument about the hardship issue. The board also finds that while the shape of the property may be somewhat unusual, the applicant failed to provide any testimony about hardship, the board's reply said. It also said the board is not required to accept the testimony of Elkins' engineer. Yeah, that's a big deal, right? Why is the guy that she brought on that's on her side, that's getting paid by her, why is the board required to accept his testimony over everyone else's? Please, I'd love to hear what you guys think about this, right? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. Because we have the fucking friars in here proving just how stupid they are. Especially like when it comes to this shit, that in any circumstances, like in any other circumstances, they're going to be totally against what's going on. They would be the ones representing everybody. They'd be the ones making the money. They'd be fighting about the law of the land, how important it is to respect the zoning laws, all this other shit. But yet when it comes to them, everybody needs to be practicing Semitism. If you're anti-Semitism, that you're the bad guy. You're the bad guy if you're anti-Semitism. Semitism is such a horrible thing. It really is just as bad as it fucking gets, man. And like I say, none of you would want them in your neighborhood. Have you ever heard anybody say it? Have you heard about that stereotype where people are like, man, nothing better than having a bunch of friars in your neighborhood. They're so nice. They're so helpful. They're so welcoming. They're so neighborly. Right? That's what you've heard time and time again, right? Can you even think of one case where you've heard that? Can you think of one person that said, man, I'm so glad those friars moved in with their 15 kids? Sure, I'm glad that this neighborhood is overrun by these penguins walking around everywhere, driving up on everybody's lawn. You've heard that before, haven't you? No. Nobody wants these pedos in your neighborhood, especially if you know, like, dude, you want some blood libels to come into your neighborhood? You got yourself a Christian neighborhood, and you're going to want people that are known for, you know, taking advantage and killing Christians to use for their ritual, killing Christian children? Knowing especially that the police, when that does happen, the police won't do shit about it? Just like with Naomi Elkins, because remember, we're not done. we're still getting there. I just want to read the rest of this. I want to get through, you know, the evidence, presenting the evidence for you. The board was in no way obliged to agree with the opinions offered by the applicant's engineer/planner, the reply said. Interesting, too, how all the names seem to be redacted other than Naomi Elkins and the Cohen bitch. The reply did not directly address the allegations that the neighbor's testimony was anti-Semitic, which is a fucking... Why should they? These are ridiculous. These are... Like, that is the definition of weaponized anti-Semitism. Right? You're saying these... We perceive these as that. Doesn't matter what they actually said. Doesn't matter what the people were talking about. We're not actually going to look. We don't care what the people were saying. We perceive them as this, so it fits our narrative. Like, it seems like a very well-crafted plan that's been executed many, many times. You know, get into the neighborhood, do what you got to do, show up to the board meetings, dress like penguins, then cry because people were looking at you. Or people said, well, are you planning on renting or buying the house? Are you planning on living in the house or buying it? Putting your house on this piece of land where people have gathered together for over 100 years really changes the character of the land, the character of the neighborhood. And again, I wonder like exactly how many people they had to interview before they got that one person that said it just like that. This changes the character of the neighborhood, and didn't explain it perfectly so that they could exploit it. Or maybe they did explain it perfectly. It just gets left out. Palestine is beautiful. You are right. It just has this horrible cancer there now, which needs to be and will be removed. Needs to be removed, will be removed. We need to get rid of that fucking cancer immediately. Because just like all cancers, it's spreading. You know, it's spreading. It's leached on to the United States. It's bad here. The East Coast is full of cancer. Full of it. Hodgson, in overturning the denial, said in the written order that the denial was arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable for reasons, it said, he stated when he announced his decision during an October 31st court hearing. But those reasons, you can't find it. Like, think about it. That's a pretty fucking audacious thing to say. Well, they did this for arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable reasons. What do you mean by that? Oh, I'm not going to say it again. I'm going to tell you about what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, one time and one time only, and then I'm never going to tell the story again. Why not? Well, it's not because I can't get the details right every time. I'll tell you that. That's for sure what it's not. He said Cohen and Elkins, quote, shall comply with any conditions agreed to at the zoning board hearing, except for the ones that said they can't do it. And their engineers should work with the zoning board's professionals to relocate the driveway. And that's the end of the conversation. All right. So you only get that little bit about the second Naomi Elkins. But you can't find out exactly who she is. Right? Who her husband is. So now we're going to watch Naomi Elkins' arrest. And I want you guys to see what this shit looks like firsthand. Alright, so.
Not that you should be doing that.
Unfortunately, I have to use this because there's not a lot of fucking footage regarding it. But.
Court Judge Guy State testifying that Elkins was out of her mind.
Look at this shit.
She killed her children. So let's go back to June 25th.
Look at this monster.
Elkins told authorities that she went to work at a daycare and preschool where her children were also enrolled. So think about that for a second. But on the ride home that afternoon, psychologist Dr. Gianni Pirelli testified that she started to have, quote, dark thoughts. According to reporting from the Asbury Park Press, Dr. Pirelli testified that she thought that if she destroyed her children, she would be destroying all the evil in the world. Authorities were alerted to what was going on in the house when Elkins called Hatzalah Medical Services, a volunteer group focused on helping members of the Jewish community, and she reportedly told them over the phone, "I did something to my kids. They're drowning." EMS responded under the impression that they were responding to a call of 2 children in cardiac distress, but it was so much worse than that. EMTs had to do...
Okay, so did that make sense to you? She called Herzola, which she didn't call the police, which is, again, like, that's illegal. You have to call the police. She called Herzola and told them I did something bad. So she was out of her mind crazy, but she knew to call the ambulance and say I did something bad. That's interesting, don't you think? And she had the wherewithal to call the Jewish one, not 911. 911 is the easy thing. 911, help, my kids, there's something wrong, my children. Not, I did something bad, I think they're drowning. So why would they show up to kids in cardiac distress if the kids were drowning? Like, are you understanding what the fuck is happening here? Oh, I'm a dirtbag again. How dare I chastise a woman who killed her 2 children, right? Right? And actually, she didn't. She didn't do it. This was actually a ritual gone wrong, which you're about to see.
CPR on these 2 young children, but both died.
Oh, look.
According to NBC.
So now the feed just went bad? Froze? Is this one of those times when you guys can hear me, but you can't see me? Isn't that interesting? Isn't this fucking interesting? The second time this has happened in my experience with doing YouTube. And the first time was the other day. Isn't that interesting? That suddenly my feed freezes when I'm trying to show you the proof. The first time in the video, I'm about to show you guys the proof of what I'm talking about. The ritual being proven. And suddenly the video freezes. Again, I'm assuming the audio is still going because I can see the timer still going. Does that make sense to anybody else? Does that sound like how YouTube works? Anyway, I guess we're going to have to reset and do a part 3. Check out all the links in the description. Pedophiles, kill yourself. Jesus Christ.